Number 7. Chris blows. In 2021, a man won a 6-year-long legal battle to keep the shark tooth that had remained embedded in his surfboard after a great white had bitten his leg clean off. 32-year-old surfer Chris Blows, who reportedly argued that a tooth for his leg was a fair swap, was attacked by an enormous great white shark at Port Lincoln's Fishery Bay in South Australia on April the 25th of 2015. Horrified beachgoers would later report seeing the great white swimming away with Blows' leg still lodged in its jaw. The man lost consciousness shortly after the mauling, which he survived due to the brave intervention of his friends. They pulled him from the water and used a surfboard leg rope as a makeshift tourniquet. Blows was on the brink of death after experiencing severe blood loss, but he was rushed to a hospital and underwent a number of emergency surgeries. The great white's upper teeth had pierced the surfer's hip, and the bottom ones caught his board as well, with one of them becoming lodged in it. The tooth ended up in the possession of Department of Primary Industries and Regions. In the attack's aftermath, Blows was fitted with a prosthetic leg and resumed surfing, prompting many to describe him as an inspiration for people living with a disability. He wanted to keep the tooth as a souvenir of the incident that almost ended his life, but the authorities couldn't legally hand it over. Great whites are a protected species, and the Fisheries Management Act bans possessing, selling, or purchasing any part of it. Eventually, after Blows had repeatedly lobbied the state for permission to keep the tooth, the fisheries minister agreed to make an exception. Number 6. Molly Cavalli. In 2017, adult film actress Molly Cavalli was filming a promo that involved her swimming with sharks off the coast of Florida for an adult entertainment company. The footage would show the model, who was wearing a one-piece swimsuit that promoted the company, being lowered into the water in a protective cage. Lemon sharks began to circle the cage, and within moments, Cavalli grabbed her ankle as blood started floating around her. Darren Press, CamSoda's vice president, later reported that Cavalli had become nervous as a lemon shark approached the cage. She swam up, but in doing so, raised her foot above the protective net, and the 10-foot predator bit into it. The woman resurfaced in a panic and was helped back onto the boat by a cameraman. Before the video cut off, a deep cut was shown on the adult actress's ankle. The shoot, meant to showcase a mobile feature that allowed models to broadcast themselves live in 4K, was cancelled, and Cavalli was rushed to the hospital. The unfortunate encounter left her needing 20 stitches, and she was later pictured leaving the hospital on crutches. Nevertheless, the adult actress was in high spirits when talking to a media outlet about the incident and lauded the experience in spite of having been injured. The shark attack attracted international press attention after the video went viral, but one veteran shark diver claimed that it had all been a publicity stunt. Bryce Rower, owner and operator of Florida Shark Diving, reported that Cavalli had texted him directly saying that she wanted to stage a shark bite in order to go viral. Rorer refused, reportedly feeling the fake video would needlessly villainize sharks, prompting Cavalli to find another diving operator. While the injury appeared genuine, the exact moment that the shark had bitten into the adult actress's foot wasn't shown on video. Florida Atlantic University shark researcher Stephen Kajiura noted that a gash as deep as Cavalli's should have had multiple parallel slashes from teeth and not a single slash had it truly been inflicted by a shark. Number 5. Irvin McCarty. On Labor Day 2017, a fisherman from Clay County, Florida, was left in excruciating pain in the Florida Keys after a nurse shark latched onto his stomach. Irvin McCarty had been spearfishing and lobstering with family friends. He dove down to about 12 feet to retrieve a grouper that they'd speared, but as he returned for the surface, the man felt something hit him in the stomach. Confused at first, McCarty thought he'd been kicked by one of his companions, but then felt the shark gnawing on his torso. McCarty simultaneously struggled to get up for air and to grapple with the predator in order to keep it from shaking. Looking back on the incident, he remembered that at one point, the shark had tried dragging him deeper underwater after an exhausting battle lasting roughly 20 minutes. McCarty managed to get to the boat with the predator's jaws still locked firmly on his stomach. A graphic video that subsequently went viral showed him in agony on the floor of the vessel as he was unable to free himself. A friend was ultimately forced to cut into the shark, and McCarty waited for several minutes while the animal bled out and finally loosened its grip. He subsequently visited a doctor and got a tetanus shot, but claimed that the incident had in no way deterred him from going on future snorkeling or fishing expeditions. As explained by University of North Florida shark researcher Dr. Jim Gelschleichter, nurse sharks are generally gentle, but will bite a human if provoked or if they mistake them for food. The attack on McCarty was probably triggered by him pursuing the grouper. Gelschleichter noted that due to the nurse shark's bottom-feeding habits, its jaw grip is extremely powerful, which is why McCarty couldn't remove it. However, because of its relatively short teeth, the predator's bite isn't as dangerous as that of other shark species. Number 4. Doreen Collier. In June of 2016, a British grandmother was killed by a shark while diving at a reef in Minderry Beach, roughly 20 miles north of Perth, Australia. 60-year-old Doreen Collier, a university lecturer from Britain, had moved to Perth 5 years prior, alongside her husband David, to be closer to their son and granddaughter. On the day of the fatal shark encounter, David was driving to Minderry to meet Doreen and her diving partner when he saw rescue helicopters flying overhead. Upon reaching the beach, he was told that Doreen had been killed by a giant great white. The woman and her diving partner John were searching for crayfish and had been in the water for about 25 minutes when the latter felt something brush past them. Upon returning to the surface, he realized that Doreen had been bitten and sustained devastating injuries. He tried to comfort the woman and bring her ashore, but she died while still at sea. 3 fishermen who'd come to the pair's aid reported seeing a shark that was greater in size than their 18-foot-long fishing boat swimming in the area. In the days that followed, in the interest of public safety, local authorities issued a kill order against any shark that fit the description. Number 3. Greg Pickering. Australian man Greg Pickering suffered 2 severe shark mauling incidents within the span of roughly 9 years. Pickering, a freediving and spearfishing champion, was most recently attacked in October of 2013. At the time of the incident, the then 55-year-old was diving for abalone, a marine snail species, at Poison Creek, about 100 miles east of Esperance, Western Australia. He was at a depth of approximately 50 feet when a great white savaged him, inflicting deep lacerations to his head, face, shoulder, and back. He miraculously managed to escape the shark's grip and make his way back to the surface. He received immediate assistance from his diving companion and was rushed to the hospital in critical condition. Pickering survived the attack, which left him with a prominent scar across his face following a 10-hour surgery. As medical experts worked on him, a 19mm shark tooth fragment was removed from Pickering's eye. He eventually returned to abalone diving, as he'd done after surviving another shark attack in 2004. The man had been spearfishing off Cervantes when a bronzed whaler shark bit deep into his leg. Pickering was reported to have deliberately swum between the shark and a friend who was threatened by it. He was hospitalized in the attack's wake, but returned to the water 3 months later. Today's topic was requested by Peter Elliott, David Trotter, Wu Chile, and medium and animal communicator Kimmy. If you have any other topics you'd like to learn about, subscribe and let us know in the comments section below. Number 2. Simon Nellis. In February of 2022, a British expat perished in what was reported to have been the first fatal shark attack to occur off the coast of Sydney in almost 60 years. The incident was recorded by a fisherman and widely circulated online in the aftermath. The victim was identified as 35-year-old Simon Nellis, originally from Cornwall, who at the time was training for a charity swim. A great white came up vertically and viciously bit into the man's body, causing the sea around him to become red with blood. As shown in the harrowing footage, Nellis had begun thrashing in the water but was powerless against the great white, estimated to have been 15 feet long. Bystanders from the Buchan Point shore watched in horror as the fatal mauling unfolded less than 500 feet from them and reportedly heard the victim's desperate screams. Further reports suggested that the man was bitten in half and parts of his mangled remains were recovered later in the day. Experts theorized that the great white had likely confused him for a seal because of his wetsuit. Nellis, a former gunner for the Royal Air Force, had settled in Australia after meeting Jesse Ho while visiting the country roughly 6 years prior. The couple, who lived together in Woolly Creek, were engaged to be married, with their wedding planned to have taken place a few weeks from when the attack occurred. In the tragedy's wake, family expected to fly in for the wedding would instead attend Nellis' funeral service. Number 1. Randall Fry. In one of the most brutal shark attacks in recent memory, California man Randall "Randy" Fry was mauled to death on August the 15th of 2004. Fry and 2 companions, Cliff Zimmerman and Red Bartley, had anchored the Dolphin, a 28-foot-long boat, at a sheltered cove at Kibasilla Rock, about 10 miles from Fort Bragg. They went diving for abalone in 15-foot-deep waters, and Zimmerman was only about 3 feet from shy when he saw a shark torpedoed by them. Unsure of the species, he later described the shark to have been as large as his pickup truck. Zimmerman watched as within seconds the ferocious predator tore into Fry, turning the sea red. Bartley, who was on the Dolphin at the time, pulled Zimmerman to the boat and then issued a mayday call. Later speaking to the San Francisco Chronicle, the latter described the attack on Fry as the most dramatic incident he'd ever witnessed, noting how the shark had gone directly for the kill. He told the media outlet, "This monster came so fast, it happened so fast and was over so fast." 50-year-old Fry had been bitten on the throat with such force that he was decapitated. His headless body was found the following day, but it wasn't until 3 weeks later, on September the 8th, that his severed head was found by a beachcomber. Thanks for watching. While only using your bare hands, would you rather be forced to fight a great white shark on land or a silverback gorilla in neck-deep water? Let us know in the comments section below.